I feel like this is the third generation where you're not constrained to a specific space to do anything. I can totally imagine this world probably 10 years down the line where I don't have to think
Hello, everybody. Welcome to our podcast, Everything Product. So we talk about the latest technology with a product mindset. I'm Sid Saladi. I work for Best Buy as a product manager.
Hi everyone, this is Funny Vuru. I'm a product manager at a startup.
Hey, this is Srinath. I'm a product manager in a Seattle-based company.
Hello, let's get into our episode today. So we have two very exciting topics. The first is Apple Vision Pro, and the second is Microsoft Developer Day. So, everybody has been anticipating Apple's VR device. We have heard a lot of rumors around it from the last 2 years, and a lot of patents filed and all of that stuff. 2 weeks back, it was the day where they actually revealed it, and it has a very high price tag to it. So let's get into the details of what Vision Pro is and how did it solve some of the problems which other devices had. So, let's start with a question here, Fanny and Srinath. So, did you guys use any of the previous VR headset? What was your experience with them?
Well, maybe I can start. So I used one of the Oculus devices probably year and a half ago. I think they had some deal. I bought it, tried it out for like a month or so. Didn't really like it at that time. Uh, I just returned it, but I loved it. The experience wise, it's awesome. Like I was able to give like exceptional views or like different places of the world, and even when I tried different games, it was awesome. But few of the things that I didn't really like is after 15 minutes, it started feeling so heavy. I'm like, okay, I need to keep it around. I need to keep it away, and I have to do other things around to come back to it. Another bigger thing that I felt was I had a bunch of friends. We were meeting during Thanksgiving and stuff. I was the only one who was like playing with that like a crazy person, and everyone else was like sitting and chatting and doing something else. So basically, I was like siloed into it. And then the last one is I have to pay for literally everything in that, other than the headset and then like couple of like minimal games that they give. Everything else was paid. I'm like, dude, I already paid so much for it. Now I'm continuing to pay like I continue to pay for everything that's already there. Yeah.
Did you still keep it or return it?
No, no, I didn't keep it at that time because what I realized is in order for you to have fun with like other people, these are not the right devices. Otherwise, what you will have to do is you'll have to get like multiple devices. Everyone has a playing system. That's gonna be way more complicated. I'm like, it doesn't make sense for me at least, so I'm just gonna return it.
Yeah. How about you, Srinath?
Yeah, I've used this, I think, 2 to 3 years ago. When I was at an airport, there was in a middle of a layover, and there was some kind of a sales pitch about this Oculus. I think it's probably the first or second version of it, so I can't exactly recall. But I did. Definitely, it was a good experience to start with because that was something which didn't exist before. I mean, I can't wear this for more than like 30 minutes. I mean, how can they make it more comfortable that I can basically wear it for a longer period of time? And the second thing was like, I'm usually a multitasker. Like I'm a multitasker. I want to do multiple things at the same time. I feel like once I have it, I can't do anything. And I have to just literally concentrate on it, which I don't think I can do that all the time. So that's something as well. And yeah, I think those are the two big pain points that I face.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, that sounds good.
What
So,
What about
yes,
you?
me, I've actually not used it directly, but a lot of things come to my mind when I look at other people using it. So, the first thing is you're almost blindfolded. You don't know what the objects are in front of you and all of that stuff. We have seen all of these meme videos where people are dashing into your TVs, walls, and all of that stuff. So, that's the first a drawback which I saw when I saw other people using it. The second one is looks like all the VR headset which came in like HoloLens or the Meta's Quest Pro and all of them have some kind of I think a space where it lets the light in, so it's not a completely immersed world where maybe that was intentional just to make people see things around them. So that's why I think that's also a drawback, which is not giving them a complete immersed experience over there. And also I feel that sometimes controlling all of these with controllers is not as human like as we think. We are used to using devices in a different way. Now you're actually trying to control something in a virtual world through these controllers doesn't feel right for me. So these were some of the challenges which I saw, at least when people were using some of these headsets. Yeah, Fanny?
No, Apple is definitely aware about that because that's something that's really big, right? Because Meta has been doing this for like quite some time now. But one thing they've been consistently giving is a controller on your hand. But the moment you have a controller on your hand, you can't do anything else in this world. You are literally stuck to that one thing, which is either playing it or like watching it, etc. That's it. If you can't use that, you can't do anything. And one more big thing, at least when I was using that Oculus, was you have to keep on moving your head if I'm observing something. After some time, it was so annoying. But at least one thing that I really loved in the demos and stuff is you can just move your eyes, which is the natural movement for a human. And the moment you move your eyes, it knows where you're looking at. Basically, your eyes are becoming the cursor to move things around. And then, in order for you to click it, just tap your fingers and everything will happen. That is like, dude, that's amazing.
Yeah, let's get into that one. But before we get into that, like, I think even like when we look at Quest Pro and all of that, imagine you watching a movie and you're not actually holding these controllers all the time. You maybe start a movie and put it aside, and after maybe half an hour or so, you want to pause or forward it. Then you're actually searching for your controllers. Everybody know that how many times we lose a TV remote, right? Whenever you're watching something, so it's so awkward in that position to lose that. So I think that's also something which Apple tried to solve for. So yeah, let's get into Apple right away. So I want to hear both of your first impressions. Like, what is your, if you want to describe the whole event in one word, what would that be? Maybe I'll start with you, Fanny.
One word, huh? I don't know. I would say like exemplary, uh, fascinated, etc. I don't know. I can tell a bunch of words like that, I believe. At least I'm very excited for it. Price tag also makes me amazed. Like, what exactly did you put within that? But at least I could see what they did, right? They were explaining there are like 12 different cameras, literally just monitoring your eye. There are like several other cameras around which are monitoring your entire hands and everything. So the funny part is they are basically monitoring your entire face, entire hands, your entire environment around you to see what is going on, and they're replicating everything to the other person. So that's something that's really amazing.
Okay. How about you, Srinath?
Yeah, I was very thrilled seeing that. Like funny, especially some of the things that I felt like they solved was the controller part, and also the one thing which was little amazing to me was because I experienced this pain point. Like when I wear Oculus, people, if I'm seeing some other person, they might not know that I'm seeing them, or they cannot see my eyes. But I think Apple Vision Pro automatically detects if someone is seeing or you are staring at, and basically helps them that clearly that the person is seeing you, which I think is very interesting. As well as I know they have a bunch of awesome features they launched. Probably we'll talk more about that. Yeah, overall, I was very thrilled. Like Funny said, I'm not like I probably won't buy at 3,500. Hopefully the prices come down, but I definitely want to experiment that and see whether it's worth it.
Yeah, that's very true. And my first impressions was I thought like Apple was the first company who got it right. A lot of people tried it, but there were some drawbacks or the other. But for at least Apple's perspective, they tried to solve all of these things together. And there's also a difference between the approach Apple took and the approach Meta took. Meta is more like move fast, break things, and iterate more, where they were launching things and all of that stuff. I think that also kind of ended up with a lot of bad connotations with the virtual world and all of that stuff. But Apple took time, but it tried to solve all the problems which all of these headset had, and then made a perfect version of that. That was my take. Like, they kind of got it right. It was almost felt like the iPhone moment where Steve Jobs was putting the BlackBerry aside and creating something which was going into multiple different leaps and solving all of these problems which people were having to use the product.
One thing which I would like to add is I know Apple really excels in design. If you look at their MacBooks, if you look at their iPhones, I'm sure they might have focused a lot on the Vision Pro, the design as well. So yeah, very excited about that because, and I think they're really that's why their product stickiness is as well pretty high, and the usability and all makes it so easy.
Actually, let's go to Siddhu's question. Probably I can come back to this. Features we liked. I don't know. At least the one thing that stuck to me is everything that we do on a daily basis. Right now, I'm sitting in front of a monitor and I have like few setup around, right? All of the things that I'm currently doing here, I can just literally sit with that headset and do everything. So, thinking back about uh, the biggest problem or the biggest feature that these guys solved for me is location constraint. I'm at least I feel like that. I, as a product manager, if I need to do certain things, if I'm sitting in front of my laptop, I can do it really well. Laptop and monitor, I can do it really well. But that's the biggest problem that they solved. I can sit at my kitchen right now and I can be as productive as what I'm sitting in front of a monitor and doing things.
But one thing which I really liked was, expanding the screen the way you want. Especially, I'm not a fan of putting all home theaters, and I don't watch TV a lot. So I was always thinking about the ROI of putting that. But I feel like this is really helping me solve that, where I can expand the screen if I want to watch sports or movies, whatever. I don't need to buy a home theater. I felt like that was one of the unique features which I really liked, and the other one was, I think, the collaboration. I think it's bringing that both, like the augmented reality, the virtual reality, a lot of this mixed reality into one thing, and making it so easy to collaborate and communicate with others.
Yeah.
Actually, I want to add something there.
Yeah.
So, I've seen this argument, right? Why is it $3,500? What are they comparing it to put that price tag? I've seen in one of the videos, like MKPHD or someone was talking about that. He was like, dude, they're not pricing it against Oculus. Apple tries to not compare themselves to another company. But what they are trying to compare it to, like what Srinath was telling, is a big home theater which gives an immersive experience for you for a movie or for a video or something like that, which would cost you basically like anywhere between like $5,000 to like $8,000 with the proper audio system or visual experience, etc. And that's what they're solving for as part of their spatial computing headset or this Vision Pro. But I don't see them solving that yet. The reason for that is when you think about a home theater, you don't sit alone and watch, right? You're basically watching it with the family. I don't think they're there yet to solve that problem. But for a single person who would want to look at this, maybe.
Yeah, because I know one of my close friend here spent like $20,000 for a home theater setup. Like, I was like, no, I'm not gonna do that. I feel like, okay, this is little inexpensive to do something. But yeah,
so does that mean, like, if you have 4 people in your house, it's like close to that amount, right? Like, where everybody buys a headset and it costs you like 14,000. But yeah, that's a very interesting point, Fanny. The pricing. Everybody was talking about the pricing, right? Like, why is it so high? Wouldn't buy it and all of that stuff. But I think traditionally, Apple has been upping the price for the categories, right? So take BlackBerry. Looks like when Apple first iPhone launched, BlackBerry was sold at a cost of $300 to $350, right? They bumped it up significantly. The same with AirPods, right? Any other Bose or any other headset, right? Like they were discounted was like $50, and the higher end price was $100. But Apple upped it up. And same thing with VR Pro, right? Like, people might think it is like really costly, but they'll start buying, is what I think. And it's also not targeting every piece of the customer. It's just targeting the early adopters who are tech enthusiasts who want to pay that premium price to have that experience and all of that stuff. Also, Apple is not just selling you products like on a cost and a profit basis, right? They're selling you an experience where it comes with the whole ecosystem together and seamless integration with the laptop and all of that stuff. And looks like even in the event they show a person actually working on a laptop and then closing the laptop and directly going into VR, and it seamlessly opens up all the windows and all of that stuff. So the ecosystem things. Yeah.
Let me ask this, right? So, 10 years down the line, do you think in an office setup, everyone would be like wearing Apple Vision Pro headset and then working on their desk or working wherever they like? Do you guys think you can imagine that situation?
I think they say everybody's thinking it as a binary situation of 1 or 0, right? I wouldn't think that's the case, right? So when you are using phone, watches came in. You're not like using just the watches, right? You're using phones with the watches. I think the same, where there would be use cases which would be matured enough to work better in a VR headset or a Vision Pro, and people will be using this headset for those use cases. I feel not like everybody. I at least like don't think it would be similar what Meta is saying, right? This piece of equipment will replace everything at your home, right? Your TVs, your computer screens, your laptops, your gym equipment, everything. I don't think that would be the same case.
Yeah, I don't
I
think
actually,
employees
I
will be
can
okay.
actually, I can actually imagine that. I
Okay.
don't know. At least I feel it that way. I'll tell you why. Again, going back to my thought process here, right? My thought process, or the biggest problem that a human has right now, is being limited to a specific constraint or a space or something like that. At least that's what did in my head. I'm imagining myself 10 years back. Let's say I was working for TCS. At that point, they had desktop computers. Obviously, they were in that phase of transitioning, but I'm limited to a space to do a certain things. The moment I get up from that space, I can't do anything. Move to a phase of laptops and then tablets and stuff. Now you're still constrained to a space which where you can probably like set it up and then work it out, etc. You can't go beyond that. I feel like this is the third generation where you're not constrained to a specific space to do anything. I can totally imagine this world probably 10 years down the line where I don't have to think about buying a laptop to do a certain things. Not certain things. I don't have to buy a laptop to do really important big things. I can totally use one headset. Probably, I think these two things will still continue to stay. Keyboard and mouse,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
but others can move along. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, definitely, probably some of the tasks can be easily achieved also versus before, where you're probably not limited to that space. But yeah, I'm
Well,
always a monitor person, but I think this will help because without laptop, I feel like I'm not productive. I'm monitored. I think this helps some ease of that pain point.
yeah, that's right. So one other thing I liked a lot is, I think every other VR headset, right? Whatever keynote people were talking about and all, it was more like an immersive reality and all of that stuff, and it's completely disconnected from the real world as all of that. But Apple kind of I think put it in a way that this is actually bridging a virtual world to a real world, where they have this. I think they have a screen on the front, right, where other people can see your eyes when people come in front of you, and also when people come in front of you, the person who's using the headset kind of has a sneak peek that somebody is looking at you, and maybe you can change the device or remove the device and all of that stuff. And there's also ring on the top which adjusts the immersion levels, where you can be using that headset with everything visible, and also you kind of can go into a complete immersion mode. I don't see any other headset outside doing that, right? Because maybe when you're working you need one kind of immersion, and maybe when you're watching movies there's another kind of immersion. So I think that I found very, very interesting.
Yeah,
That's making it really, really pricey, because they have a screen inside and also a screen outside, right, and all of that stuff.
yeah,
Yep.
that's one of the big things that as I was earlier saying. I felt like I can't do anything except that. But with this, I feel like okay, I can still see what's going on outside and see other people if they're looking at me, or if I'm looking at them and all that stuff.
Did you guys also see that battery extension? Right, like they have so I was always wondering, when with Quest Pro and all, can you connect a charger while using it?
I don't think so.
Okay, so you
At
use it
least
for
what
1 hour and then charge it. That's it.
yep.
Okay, but with
Yeah.
Apple,
So
right? I think you can use it while charging or something. I guess, right?
yeah, actually, it reminds me of the headphones. So when I bought these headphones, right, I'm like, dude, this is too expensive. Going back to Sidhu's point, they always up the price. Like typical Bose would cost you like 250, $300. These are $550. When I bought it, the uh, biggest thing that I observed is it's too heavy on the side, but they removed all the bands and stuff on the top to make it like much more softer and easier for people to wear. Now I can wear this for like 5, 6 hours straight and I still don't feel that heaviness. They learned a lot from this thing and then they implemented all of that into their Vision Pro. So if you think about one of the biggest pain points for the VR devices, it's too heavy. Funny part was they still have so much and it's
Yeah,
still
still heavy
they
it
still
seems, right?
made sure
Yeah.
it's not too heavy on the things that they're wrapping around and stuff. So I feel like they evolved at multiple stages in order to get to that Vision Pro.
Yeah, and maybe once this is out, right, there'll be more accessories to increase the shelf life, like the battery life of the headset, right? Maybe something like a power bank which you attach to the charger, which will give you maybe 6 hours of battery life or something like that.
I want to add one thing here. Do you guys use Dyson, the vacuum cleaner?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm one of the biggest fans of that. I'll tell you
yeah,
why.
Same here.
So, typical vacuum cleaner has so many pain points. It's too heavy, always have to be connected to a cable. It doesn't go to every space, etc. They literally solved every damn problem of that and then they released that. But it's too expensive. Like for a vacuum cleaner, people are not used to spending like 500, $600 when a typical vacuum cleaner you could get it for $100. But imagine our world right now. Every one of us have it and we definitely use it. Okay. Now take few steps back and then think of the virtual reality world. Oculus have been trying to do this. There are a couple of other smaller companies who have been trying to do this as well. Haven't been successful because of the exact same pain points. Like charge doesn't exist, you have to use additional devices, or it's too heavy, etc., etc. These guys came and said, I'm going to solve every damn problem of that, but I'm going to price it in such a way it's like 6 times, 7 times higher than a typical one.
yeah.
Okay, I I definitely see it that way, and I hope people will start using it, but let's see. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
that's a very interesting and a similar example. Like when Dyson, I think the product stickiness is so high. So once you start using it, you will be a fan. So recently, I was gifting my wife a hair dryer. Just guess the price of a hair dryer. How much
Six
you would
hundred
put?
bucks, man. I've done it to Divya also before. I still remember
Six
the
hundred
price.
bucks. I was like, oh god. I mean, you get a normal one, the Conair one for like 20-30 bucks. And like even the if you go to little advanced one, you get like maximum 50-60. But Dyson kept it at 600. But I feel even I use it now. But once I started using it, like it's so easy. They solve. I feel like they solved so many pain points. So the usability is pretty good. But I think they still keep their price at premium. I think people are buying. I mean, yeah.
Please like, share, and subscribe to our channel.
They are not trying to compare themselves with anyone else. That's how I see it, and they are not letting anyone else easily compare themselves to Oculus. So, be it price, be
Yes.
it the product, be it the specs that they're using for the product, be it the apps that they're giving for the product, they've completely set themselves apart because when you think about Oculus, the entire branding around that goes about games. The entire branding around that goes about having fun. But if you think about the Vision Pro, you would never think about games or anything like that first because everything that they branded is you will be productive. You will be able to like do several normal things by using a Vision Pro rather than just thinking about games. Because when you think about the actual person who is buying this, think about a family. A parent is probably buying this for a kid, or a parent is probably buying it for themselves. They focused on the customer persona of buying it for themselves rather than buying it for a kid as a fun tech product.
Yeah. So I think like Apple also tries to not tag themselves with some technology or something, because technologies keep coming changing, but they concentrate more on the story and the messaging around the story and the experience around it, rather than saying AI first company or a meta first company or something like
Hopefully, in the future,
that.
three of us will be sitting at a random place, wearing our VR glasses, and then making our videos.
Yep. Recording our podcast. Yeah, let's watch for that day.
Yep.
Okay,
Let's do it.
let's switch gears and move to our next topic. So Microsoft Developer Day. So it was full of AI again. So looks like Microsoft is kind of going full throttle on AI and kind of integrating AI with all its developer tools, ecosystem, cloud, and all of that stuff. So there's a lot of enthusiasm and a lot of new products that were launched for the Microsoft Developer Day. So let's get started, right? So what was one thing which you really, really liked about, and what were your impressions about it?
Sure. So again, Microsoft announcement had a lot of awesome new AI capabilities. I think through different products that they plan to do. And one thing which struck me was the Windows Copilot. I think it has some multiple advantages in terms of searching for what you are looking within Windows, or trying to adjust settings for within a computer. You're basically trying to interact with that computer and automatically making those changes. So I'll say Windows Copilot was my top win there.
Oh,
I
how
mean,
about you? What about you,
I mean,
Fanny?
If you think about what OpenAI did, is they gave their product to Microsoft, and that's what we have seen in the last 6 months or so from the time it was launched. But for the first time, I'm seeing it the other way around. So Bing is now integrated with OpenAI, so that any traffic that's going through the ChatGPT right now goes to Bing. So let's take back and think about what Microsoft is trying to do. Right, they want to make sure their products will continue to extend through ChatGPT, because they have invested so much in ChatGPT. They want to make sure whatever the goodness it's giving, it's expanding all of their other products. Okay, and that's the direct integration that we have been seeing for the last 6 months or so. For the first time, at least this is my guess, a lot of traffic for the search has gone to ChatGPT. Okay, so if they continue to leave it like that, the only monetization that they would get is probably the subscription that they're getting from OpenAI. But now it has gone reverse. Given that ChatGPT can't do a direct web search, and I'm guessing they would have wantedly constrained that to not do that, so that they can integrate Bing and then continue to get that traffic through Bing for the web searches. That's
Yeah,
something that I really loved.
yeah. So now when you do web browsing, use web browsing plugin and ChatGPT, right? It actually gives you answers, but when you click on the links, it takes you to Bing. So indirectly, you're being diverted to Bing to start using it, right? Maybe people, once they open Bing, right, even for other searches, they might go in and type in Bing. So that's a very intelligent strategy where they're actually taking the 100 billion odd users who are using ChatGPT and putting them towards Bing, trying making them to use Bing. And recently I've tried using Edge, their browser, and also Bing. Man, looks like they have a lot of good things that even though I'm more used to Chrome, but there are a lot of good things that you can use from. They also have a point system where when you go in and do a search, they give you like 5 points every day or something, and you keep accumulating those points. And if you get 5,000 points or so, you'll actually get a $5 Amazon gift card. Yeah,
oh, I didn't know about
yeah.
it.
So they're trying to gamify the overall search experience. Hope this will bring them more traffic. Very interesting thing which I found was from the developer day was more like, I think the way people are interacting with UI and products is changing, right? I think we have talked about this before, where now previously it was more about you having a UI with all the different options around, and you click and go to a spot where you need information, find information, search, and all of that. But everything is changing more towards more conservational, where you go in and search for something and it gives you the answer. The same thing as Srinath said, right? The Copilot. I know, I remember so many days. I actually try to find some setting, cannot find it, go to Google, search it, and look through a form, and then figure out, okay, this is the way I have to do it. And the most frequent thing I do is like setting up monitors, right? Whenever I set up a new monitor, some way or the other, the settings doesn't work, it doesn't appear, and you cannot, actually move your cursor through all the monitors and all of that. I think everybody have experienced it. If a Copilot existed and it actually solved that for me and changed the settings magically for me, that would be like a big pain reliever for me, right? So I think that was something which kind of caught my eye. So that was one thing. And did you guys look at the Azure AI Studio? Looks like
Mm.
they are introducing a AI Studio which is enabling you with all the language models. You're able to add data and create your own a Copilot kind of a model, right? So maybe I was thinking about different use cases and all. Right now, if I want to maybe create something for my profile or a resume and all, I have to go to ChatGPT and keep feeding it the same data again and again. Maybe I'll, in the future there'll be a Copilot which basically understand all my educational profile, all my achievements and all of that stuff. Whenever I have to submit an application or something, I'll ask it to build something for me, and it builds for me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
think
love that too.
yeah, on the similar lines, Copilot, one thing which also struck me was that Microsoft Copilot, like which you can use for your Word documents or anything. One thing which was really good was like, for instance, if you're writing a legal document, right? So obviously, we are not legal experts, but we probably need to understand what the terminology or what is the right thing that we need to include in the document. I think that is also helping with a lot of that collaboration and making sure we're doing it right. So overall, I think that especially with the Copilot, it's making that search very easy within a computer or within a document or to summarize anything. And I think which is pretty handy. One other thing which really struck me was the Microsoft Fabric. I think they are calling it as the biggest data product after their Microsoft SQL Server. So when I was observing the demo of it, I mean, it has multiple things that it is bringing. I mean, today, for instance, if you were writing a query, I mean, you will obviously go and write an Oracle or a Microsoft SQL Server. Once you do that, you have to export it. You have to use multiple tools for visualizations or integrations and all. But this Microsoft Fabric looks like it's bringing all this multiple things into one tool where you can write queries, where you can basically integrated plugins where you can do visualizations, everything at one place.
So it's
I'm
almost
sure
like
there are a lot
a
of data.
is it almost like a data lake where you're connecting all your data sources and trying to
Exactly.
write queries to figure out like different things out of the data?
Exactly. It's a kind of a data lake, but I think it also has a lot of this advanced capabilities like building that AI, being that responsible, making that governance, data quality, data standards, security, everything is incorporated into one tool, which I think is going to be pretty handy for a lot of data lovers out there.
I want to add one more thing here, right? So when I think about Microsoft or when I compare Microsoft to Apple and Google's of the world, the first word that comes to my mind is enterprise. So anything that they do in and out is focused towards an enterprise customer. They might give it to an end customer for sure, but primary focus is enterprise. So going back to what Sidhu was telling, right? Azure AI. So when you think about Azure, like as a product or as a platform, what it's trying to do is bring companies together to do their common things. Okay. And especially with the buzz going on in the world, everyone must be thinking, hey, why do I have to use ChatGPT? Why can't I use my own model to do certain things? And that's true because one model cannot solve for different things. That's why several other apps exist, like Mid Journeys and stuff. Because for images, something is better. For text, something is better, etc. So now, instead of them trying to build it, or instead of them trying to give certain things that other people can use, they are just building a platform to say, hey, you can come to Azure and then you build your own model and you can do whatever you want with that. Now, let's say Facebook comes and builds a model, okay, and stores it in Azure. Now they can sell that to anyone in the world. Like Facebook can sell that to anyone in the world, but in between, who's going to be benefited? It's Azure.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's a very good
Scalability.
point. So they're also actually adding these third-party models, right? Hugging Face was one of it, which is available through Azure Studio and all of that stuff. So I think Microsoft is still sticking to its course. I think since like decades, Microsoft has been a platform, right? And they're trying to be that through AI, creating that ecosystem and inviting more and more people come in. But I also like wonder what Amazon is trying to do to reply this, right? Because I don't hear Amazon and Apple doing much noise on this side. It's more Google and Microsoft trying to lead the charge with all these AI products and language models and all of that stuff.
Yeah. So I mean, like there's a saying which is so true that 80% of the revenue comes from the top 20% of the customers are enterprise. So I think Azure is also heading that way. Coming from the B2B spaces at both in Amazon and Twilio, like yeah, we were definitely looking at that data that a lot of your revenue comes from them.
Yeah, let's see what's there in the future, and we'll maybe cover all of these other companies also doing AI stuff in our podcast moving forward. Perfect. Yeah, very great session, guys. Thanks a lot.